And this is why I think each and every one of your papers could be dramatically different. Insofar as that I think there's at least like 10 different routes into this, and sort of how we pick which one strikes us as being sort of the most important angle. It's the claim that this is the way to argue in is what you're arguing for to some extent. Like there are different reasons, and I'm going to say this is the correct angle. It's the correct angle. Why? Maybe either because I think this general approach is just generally the best approach, or because I think this general approach is the one that fits this particular question best. And if you make a move like this general approach is the one that fits this particular question right, it has to be, are we doing that approach for a principled reason? Like, because if I take this approach, it'll get me the answer that I wanted, at which point your ethical reasoning is actually just justification rather than reasoning. Or is it because there's something about this issue which makes it that this is the appropriate way to think about it? Okay, so here's stuff that we know. We know that when talking about abortion, one of the first things people talk about frequently is the topic of personhood. Like, is a fetus a person, or when does a fetus become a person? We know that this is like the common way in which the topic is approached. Given background ethical work that you've done this semester, why would that be the question that people begin with so often? There are good ethical reasons why we begin there, often.
It's the ethical idea that with personhood comes like these natural rights to life, to a future, to all of these things. So if you don't have personhood, you don't have the grounds on which to make the argument that like the thing you're arguing for has those rights.
Okay, so a number of our ethical theories, those doing things like justice considerations, whether you're doing maybe a con or a Trancana type story, it's is this thing a member of the moral community, and or if it's a member of the moral community, is it an equal member of the moral community? If it has sort of equal sort of claims to personhood, then I have to say, I have to treat this one's consideration equal to the considerations of every other person. So whether or not it's the kind of thing that I have to do categorical imperatives with comes down to whether or not it's a person. So this is an important question that you're trying to figure out how to do reasoning, how to apply the various other theories. But I mean, the other major way that people often talk here is, right, about rights, right? And you can talk about rights of life, or rights of choice, or rights of autonomy, or rights language. Well, whenever we're doing rights language, we are related to the personhood question. But of course, we don't only have to have personhood in mind when we're thinking about rights. These are where we're talking about, if you're talking about rights, why does something have rights? And rights is really more of a, I don't know, it's an American language more than it's ethics language. You could talk about sort of intrinsic value would be maybe a less culturally limited. And it may be, if you sort of recognize that rights talk is about, is there some sort of intrinsic value, moral consideration in this thing, it might have to modify how we think about these or anything else. Because maybe we have this sort of conception that rights only belong to members of like a political community. Like you have to be a citizen to have rights or something. So there is weighted into the language of rights talk different suppositions than what's weighted into over here. I mean, you can talk about the rights of a tree or something, but it somehow feels wrong. But supposing that, say, animals or nature or something have intrinsic value or intrinsic moral consideration, worthy of moral consideration, doesn't feel weird. And if all of these are in some sense like roughly equivalent, ourselves get sort of distracted by American speak or something. And this is what we're wondering about. Because if this is what we're wondering about, then it's not that personhood doesn't become as weighty a question. I mean, personhood is a weighty question if I think intrinsic value has to come down to something like Kantian reason. The reason why this thing has intrinsic value is because of its ability to self-determine, and you don't mess with rationality or something. Well, trees and animals very possibly lack that as well. But if you wanted to say, insofar as I think the only thing that would give something intrinsic value is rationality or autonomy or something, well, then you should follow the coherent picture you are claiming. You can't be saying that the only things that have intrinsic value are rational agents because that's what Kant told me, unless you are also accepting that I am saying things like, I don't know, trees and environments and animals or something don't have intrinsic value. And again, for rational consistency reasoning, if you say, I think things have intrinsic value when they're rational, but I also think that like the environment has intrinsic value, then you have to say, why does an environment have intrinsic value? I mean, this is close to what Marquis was doing when he says, when we have this intuition that killing is a great wrong or something, why do we think so? If I have the intuition that these things, like the environment, have intrinsic value, why? Because if the why is something that would apply to a fetus, maybe even if it's not a person, then it should become part of your moral reasoning. But maybe the why is something like, maybe the reason we care about the environment is because it has instrumental value for humans. If the environment is only valuable insofar as it supports us or something, then whether or not this makes the fetus valuable or not might change your reasoning. Because that wouldn't be an intrinsic value. That would be an instrumental value. But you have that framework now to distinguish instrumental versus intrinsic value. Okay.